Let's get to some of you guys' questions in the comments. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love. Holden says, realistic Caleb expectations for year one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have high expectations for Caleb, and I think that's okay. I have high expectations for Caleb Williams, and that is okay. I have 4,000 yards plus expectations for Caleb Williams, and that is okay. I have 25 plus touchdowns expectations for Caleb Williams, and that is okay. You know why? Because he's been put in a position better than any quarterback ever. And this is the thing that I keep talking to Bears fans about. When you're sitting there and you are what's the right word? You're trying to avoid the BTSD, the Bears traumatic stress disorder. You're trying to sit there and not put yourself back in that mindset of what has happened in the past. You're trying to insulate yourself now so that you're not hurt again. That's not a good way to live. It's not a good way to live. To me as a fan, what's the point of being a fan on a team if you're always going to be down on a team? What is the point of you not being excited about what your team can build or what your team can do? You just want to be a Debbie Downer so that when it's finally done, you can be surprised by it. Like I don't know what the what the logic behind it is. It's okay to be happy and have high expectations for your young quarterback. Because guess what? It doesn't mean that if he doesn't meet those expectations, that it was a failed season. My expectations on Caleb Williams are high because I look around this offensive unit. I see DeAndre Swift. I see Keenan Allen. I see DJ Moore. I see Cole Kmet. I see all of these weapons. I see an offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron, who, at least in the preseason, things can change when you get to the regular season, but at least in the preseason, it felt like he was being so incredibly consistent with how he was putting his team in a position to go out there and be successful. Now, it still depends on the players to have that success. But when you talk about how he was using some of those naked boots, how he was running boss, how he was doing all of these things that I thought just accentuated the team that you had, I'm excited about that. And guess what? This is the thing that I live for. If you shoot for the stars, at least if you miss, you land on the moon. I think I said that backwards. If you shoot for the moon, if you miss, at least you land in the stars. That's what you're supposed to say. That to me is how I view my Bears fandom. I'm hoping to hit big. But if Caleb Williams throws 3,800 yards and he throws 25 touchdowns even, or he totals for 25 touchdowns even, passing and rushing, and he throws 8 interceptions, guess what? I'm going to leave this season going. We got one. We did it. Good job, Poles. Because that is still a quarterback that is probably going to win quite a few games. That is still a quarterback that is probably going to do what we haven't seen done in a Chicago Bears uniform in a long freaking time. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I just think that if you're going to sit there and have low expectations on Caleb, or you're going to say, whoa, 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 hey, everybody, hold on now. We don't want to put too much pressure on this guy. He's the first overall pick that plays quarterback for the Chicago Bears. There's no more pressure you can put on him. There is zero pressure that you can put on him. There just isn't. What more pressure can you add than, hey, this team's never had a quarterback do anything really good in its city? You're the first overall pick, which comes with an immense amount of pressure already, but also you're the guy that probably everyone's hopes and dreams rely on. Go out there and figure it out. What other pressure can you put on Caleb Williams outside of that? That's how I go about it. That's how I go about it, man. Mario Morris says, I'm with you, Pat. I may be delusional, but in my expectations, but I believe we can make it to the NFC Championship game. Just my thoughts. Now that's interesting. That's a high bar. That's a high bar. But what I will say is this. Right now, I would say your defense is at a level that you could make an NFC championship. You have to figure out how to get your offense at that level. And it doesn't have to happen right away, but it absolutely has to happen before you get to the divisional games. Yo, what's happening, Bears Nation? It's your boy Pat, the designer from the Windy City Breeze, where we keep it 100 about everything Chicago Bears. Now, if you're like me, you don't just watch the game, you live it, and that's why you need to check out BetDSI. BetDSI is where it's at if you want to put your money where your mouth is. They've been doing it for over 20 years, giving you the best odds, lightning fast payouts, and a platform that's as solid as the best O-line. Whether you're betting on the Bears to take it all the way or making clutch live bets during the game, BetDSI has you covered. And here is the kicker. Just because you're rolling with the Windy City Breeze, BetDSI is hooking you up. Sign up today with the promo code WCB, and they'll give you 120% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000. That's free money, folks, to make sure that you're winning as you back our boys in the blue and orange. So what are you doing? What are you waiting for? Head over to betdsi.eu, use the code WCB, and start turning your Bears passion into serious cash. BetDSI, where real Bears fans get it done. Can you make that happen quickly enough? And it's not just about getting on the same page, it's about being on the same page consistently. Because the second half of the season, if you don't beat the Packers, don't beat the Vikings, don't beat the Lions, you're not going to get to the playoffs. So you have to have some consistency built in already, and then hit an incredible heater. And more than likely, find a way to either win the division, which I think is going to be ridiculously tough in the NFC North, or just get a schedule where like guys are just getting annihilated in front of you. I think there's still a process that you have to go through, but I do think that there could be a path to an NFC title game. Now, what I will say is this. That is if Caleb Williams is just an okay player. Right? That's if Caleb Williams meets expectations, does not exceed expectations, does if he's solid, right? But if he comes out and he's able to CJ Stroud this thing, I don't think that those expectations are too high at all. If he comes out and he's able to CJ Stroud this thing, I think those expectations are probably what we would be okay looking at because of, again, everything around him. And I love how Ryan Poles said this, and it's something I didn't get a chance to talk about because I was on vacation already. But when Ryan Poles spoke and he talked about what he wanted to see from Caleb Williams, when he talked about what he wanted to see from his number one overall pick quarterback. It wasn't go out there and prove all the doubters wrong. It wasn't go out there and be the greatest quarterback of all time. It was rely on your teammates. Rely on the team that I have put together. This is a ridiculously stacked team. If you rely on it, it will be able to do things for you that you probably couldn't do for yourself. And that's just the facts of it. If you rely on this team, it will be able to do things that you didn't expect it to be able to do. And then, in doing that, you can become a very astounding player. The perfect example of that is in San Francisco right now. How many of you in this chat don't think Brock Purdy's that good? I'm not one of them. I believe Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. I think that he has a good team, but I think he's also a good quarterback. I don't think anybody goes in there and makes the plays that he does. I think he's a winning quarterback. I think he's a quarterback that puts his team in really good positions. But how many of you believe that Brock Purdy's not a good quarterback? That the team is the reason? Why? Because he leans on the team. Because he relies on the team to put him in the position when he doesn't have to, or when he doesn't have it, I should say. When things get tough, CMC. When things get ugly, Deebo Samuels. When things get scary, Brandon Ayuk. When things get crazy, George Kittle. But if you told me in his first full season, Caleb Williams was able to go 69% completion percentage, 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions with a QB rating of 113, I would sit there and tell you, we've got the greatest quarterback in our history. Caleb Williams will be the greatest Chicago Bears quarterback in our history. Are you going to care that it's because he utilized the weapons that he had on the team? Are you going to care that it's because he threw the football to the good wide receivers and they were able to score touchdowns? No. And that's what I mean by it. We want this guy that in the worst situations won't struggle. We want this guy that in the worst situations can take his wide receivers and turn them into gods. Well, there's this really, really good guy who's arguably going to go down if he continues winning at the pace that he's winning at as the greatest quarterback of all time. He's certainly on the greatest run that a quarterback has ever been on in NFL history. And when his weapons weren't the same last year, he struggled. Now, those struggles were still not really struggles, right? We're talking about a 4,100-yard season, 27 touchdowns, 14 picks with a 92 quarterback rating. And I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes here. But until him and Travis Kelce figured out what they needed to get done later on in the season, he struggled. Why? The weapons weren't the same. Your team matters. I know we want to live in this world where the team doesn't matter, where the quarterback is just Jesus Christ and he shows up on the field and he just puts his arms out and footballs are flying into receivers' hands as they fall into the end zone. But that's not the real world. No Super Bowl team won because of one dude. You want to win Super Bowls? The teams matter. And so when you look at guys like Brock Purdy, heck, when you look at guys like Patrick Mahomes, when you look at these players who have had the most success, we talk about the team. Nobody looks at Peyton Manning's teams and go, "Oh, Peyton was just doing it by himself out there." Yeah, Marvin Harrison, the dad of the guy that everybody's like is going to be a ridiculously good wide receiver. He's pretty good. Hall of Famer. Well, Tom Brady, he never had the wide receivers that when he won the Super Bowl. He just had what, the third greatest tight end of all time? Just saying. Yeah. Yep. Yep. AJ Grizz, Reggie Wayne. Just Reggie Wayne. He was all right. Oh, Jay Grizz. Shout out again. Dallas Clark. Great names here. He was all right. The teams matter. And so I love that Ryan Poles said that about his young quarterback. Don't go out there and rely on yourself. Are there going to be moments where you have to be better than than the defense, where you have to put the team on your back? Yes. 100%. By the way, over 300 in a chat. 300, 300. Are there going to be moments where you have to be a difference maker? Yes. There just are. But are there going to be more moments than not where you have no choice but to rely on the pieces that have been put around you? That's every single play in football. Ask J Mac, ask Tommy Waddle, ask whoever you want to ask that's been on an NFL offense. Whoever you want. If one of those 11 players doesn't make the right play or runs the wrong route or makes the wrong block or makes the wrong read, the play's dead. And that's when you need those special players to make special plays, usually because somebody didn't do their job. Every single play in the NFL, for you to run a 5-yard hitch route, you need your team to dominate. And that's why I love Ryan Poles saying that about Caleb Williams. That's why I'm excited that Ryan Poles said that about Caleb Williams, because I think that that is the most important piece that is going to lead to success for the Chicago Bears. It's not just Caleb, it's how you utilize the team and how you're able to go out there and have a cohesive unit. And yeah, you got to have that clutch gene. You got to have that moment where you're doing it over everybody else, right? The Brady moments at the end of the game, the Rodgers moments at the end of the game. You got to have the arm talent to get it down there. You got to have the IQ to know where to go with the ball. You have to have all of those things. But when you have that with no team, you usually aren't putting yourselves in a position to go out there and win very often. But hey, I think that we've got some really good situations for the Chicago Bears to be in right now. I'm excited. We've got our 8 captains named. If you didn't hear the captains, Cole Kmet, I'm sorry, Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Kevin Byard, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson, Mercedes Lewis, TJ Edwards, and Tremaine Edmonds, all named captains of the Chicago Bears. We've got some news coming soon. I'm doing my last shows on Locked On this week. So we'll be doing a ton more over here on the Windy City Breeze. Make sure you tap in tomorrow for the Morning Breeze at 6:30. Make sure you're tapped in for the daily show. It won't be a daily show later today because of Labor Day, all that stuff, man. People celebrating. Y'all go out there, have fun. Um, but yeah, but tomorrow we'll be back at it again. So 6:30 in the morning. Tomorrow's daily show will be at 5. So tap in with us on that as well. As always, man, y'all stay safe out there. It's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for showing love. I have missed talking sports with you guys, and I am so glad to be back. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.